Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, President Trump says large-scale combat operations continue overseas as American casualties mount. Commissioners take action to prevent dangerous fires as drought conditions persist. And the FBI reveals new details about possible terrorism motives in a deadly Austin shooting.
Strong winds will not help our fire situation for this week, but I'm going to give you a glimmer of hope for the coming weekend. I'll have all that coming up in a moment.
In the Industrial Coast, prepare for the regional semifinals tomorrow night versus the Kansas Panthers. We'll hear from their head coach later on in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker. The death toll is rising as the war with Iran expands. Maribel Gonzalez has the latest as Iran retaliates and says they, quote, will not negotiate, unquote, with the United States.
Today, the United States military continues to carry out large-scale combat operations in Iran to eliminate the grave threats posed to America by this terrible terrorist regime.
In his first remarks since strikes in Iran started Saturday, President Donald Trump said Iranian leaders ignored U.S. warnings not to rebuild its nuclear program.
An Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be an intolerable threat.
The president also told CNN Monday that the U.S. military is, quote, knocking the crap out of Iran, but the big wave is yet to come. At least 4 American service members have already been killed.
In their memory, we continue this mission with ferocious, unyielding resolve.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the U.S. strikes on Iran are not meant to be a regime change, but called on Iranians to, quote, to take advantage of the opportunity while explaining the president's mission.
Destroy the missile threat, destroy the Navy, no nukes.
The war is sending shockwaves across the globe, disrupting air travel and hiking gas prices in the U.S. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries called on lawmakers to pass a war powers resolution in a vote expected later this week.
The American people want us to focus on making their life better, making their life more affordable, not getting involved in another endless war in the Middle East that is going to end in failure.
I'm Maribel Gonzalez reporting.
The State Department urges U.S. citizens to leave more than a dozen Middle Eastern countries due to safety risks. Officials say the result of this global conflict may have some implications here domestically. State Representative A.J. Louderback called the strikes on Iran as a preemptive operation to stop a present danger from Iranian nuclear weapons. He says the danger extends even to Texas, calling the deadly Austin shooting attack from an extremist. State Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller reports that even he has received death threats after denouncing the attack. Representative Louderback says residents should stay aware of any potential threats.
This radical extremism is everywhere. I think we've got to prepare for that. I think each family needs to make preparations for that. Need to understand what we're up against. That the threats and the risk is real, and we've got to get ready.
Louderback says the military action is an attempt by the president to return stability to Iran and the Middle East. Representative Louderback endorsed Texas Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller in his bid for re-election. Moments ago, I mentioned that Miller reported in the last 24 hours he received multiple threats to his personal safety. He said the threats stem from his outspoken condemnation of what he calls the Islamification of Texas and his message on social media that Texas will not tolerate future acts of terror on our soil like the shooting in Austin. Miller said the threats against him are being thoroughly investigated, and Miller added, quote, I will not be intimidated or silenced, unquote. A Victoria man died Friday afternoon after a crash in Refugio. Officials say 33-year-old Nicholas Rodas was driving on US 77 when he failed to control his speed, crashing into the rear of a semi-trailer. Traffic on the highway was reduced because of another crash when Rodas hit the semi-trailer. Troopers from the Refugio Highway Patrol Office are investigating. Victoria County is the latest in the crossroads to enter a burn ban after today's Commissioner's Court. Refugio County recently passed a revision to its burn ban orders. Residents who burn during a burn ban will face fees beyond the maximum $500 fine for a Class C misdemeanor. Violators must now pay the cost for local fire departments that respond to an out-of-control fire from unauthorized burning. County Judge Gigi Pointer says the revisions should support local departments and mitigate costs when they respond to fires born from illegal burns.
Frankly, when we're looking to enforce, we want to be able to recover from these parties that are violating the orders. And I think in doing that, we're better protecting our volunteer firefighters and their agencies to continue doing the work that we need them to do.
Judge Pointer says the revisions use much of the same language used in Bee and DeWitt counties. And the way too early heat goes on. Mac Pettis has the latest on this heat and when we could get some cooling or maybe some rain or both.
Well, I got a glimmer of hope for you this coming weekend that we'll be talking about, but the line of temperatures in the mid-80s does not go away. We are definitely looking at almost an early summer weather pattern with the heat and the humidity being blown all over the area. Now, the afternoon winds are going to be fairly strong for the next couple of days. And then what is it that we may have next weekend? And we'll talk about that coming up a little bit later on. Don?
Thank you, Mac. And if you see news happening, call our newsroom at 361-576-0026 or send us an email at staff@crossroadstoday.com. Tomorrow is primary election day in Texas. The polls will be open in Victoria from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. There will be 34 locations for voting in Victoria open on those hours on Election Day. A gunman wearing clothes with an Iranian flag design and the words "Property of Allah" killed 2 people and wounded 14 early Sunday morning at an Austin bar. ABC's Melissa Adon has the latest as the FBI investigates terrorism as a potential motive.
Today, law enforcement sharing new details surrounding Sunday's mass shooting at an Austin, Texas bar that killed 2 people and injured 14 others. Austin police today identifying the 2 victims killed as 24-year-old Savitha Shawn and 22-year-old Ryder Harrington. Harrington, an active member of the Beta Theta Phi fraternity at Texas Tech, the group posting photos and a statement online saying he made the world around him better simply by being in it.
I believe 1 patient will be taken off life support sometime today, and then 2 other patients are still critical.
Austin police say a man armed with a pistol and rifle opened fire from his SUV, shooting at a crowd of people outside a bar along Austin's popular West 6th Street. The FBI says they found indicators on the alleged gunman, Jaga Zhang, that have them looking into possible terrorism as a motive. In this photo obtained by ABC News, Zhang seen wearing clothing referencing Allah. Multiple law enforcement officials say he was also wearing a T-shirt referencing Iran with an Iranian flag underneath. The FBI says the 53-year-old is a naturalized U.S. citizen from Senegal.
We are pouring through thousands of hours of video. We have massive amounts of both digital and physical evidence. And this is a around-the-clock, 24-hour investigation at this point. And any declarations on what led to that motive would be premature.
Witnesses describing a chaotic scene unfolding around 2 a.m. Sunday.
I saw people around me getting hit, and that's when I kind of realized like it was like targeted at us, like as in the crowd.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott says before Sunday's shooting, he had directed the DPS and Texas National Guard to increase patrols across the state in response to the joint U.S.-Israel military operation in Iran. Melissa Adon, ABC News, Los Angeles.
After years of planning and behind-the-scenes work, shovels finally hit the dirt today for a brand-new career and technology center at Goliad High School. Superintendent Holly Lyons says interest in hands-on programs like welding and culinary arts has surged, and this new center is designed to keep up. District leaders say it will give students more space, more tools, and more real-world training, helping turn classroom lessons into career pathways.
So we're very excited. It's been a long process, a lot of time spent in the design to make sure that we're creating a building that will serve our community for years to come.
The newly Goliad High School Career and Technology Education Center building is part of the $75 million bond issue approved by voters in 2023. In addition to the new CTE building, the bond package includes a new middle school for the district. It's Texas Independence Day. If you want to see where history really came to life, you don't have to travel far. Right here in the Crossroads, you can walk through the walls of Presidio, La Bahia, and Goliad, where the fight for independence left its mark, or explore the stories that shaped our region at the Museum of the Coastal Bend at Victoria College. It's a chance for you and your family to step back in time and see how this corner of Texas helped build the state we celebrate today. This day, 190 years ago, delegates signed the Texas Declaration of Independence from Mexico, officially creating the Republic of Texas. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 6, a 5-hour rescue operation captivates East Texas. Also ahead, Southwest Airlines makes another major change to its boarding process. Refugio County is getting support from the General Land Office in the form of a grant worth nearly $1 million. Commissioner Don Buckingham approved $84.6 million to 14 counties as part of coastal conservation projects through the Coastal Erosion Planning and Response Act. Refugio County plans on using the funds towards its Bayside Shoreline Restoration Project.
It's going to allow us to curb some of the erosion, get native plantings in, oyster reef balls, and a new breakwater that will allow us to work with nature rather than against it in that recreational area.
Calhoun County and Port Lavaca joined Refugio County in receiving the grant funds from the Land Office. Dow is asking the state to change its wastewater permit so it can legally discharge plastic and other materials into area waterways from its plant in Seadrift. The Texas Tribune reports it comes 2 weeks after Texas sued the company's massive Seadrift petrochemical complex for years of alleged water pollution, including routine releases of plastic pellets. If regulators approve the permit change, it could be the first time Texas explicitly allows this type of plastic discharge, a move environmental advocates say would set a concerning precedent. Firefighters in East Texas came to the rescue of 2 people who were stuck nearly 1,000 feet in the air in a hot air balloon basket. Katie Parker reports it happened Saturday after the balloon collided with a communications tower.
For over 5 hours, East Texas eyes were fixed upon that tower as 2 hot air balloonists were trapped 925 feet in the air.
Around 8:13 Saturday morning, Longview Fire Department responded to a call near East Mountain.
As we're driving by, I see everybody looking up, so we start looking up, and there's a hot air balloon stuck in the tower. And we were like, oh my gosh.
Less than 40 minutes after the initial call, LFD began climbing the telecommunications tower.
Kind of the Super Bowl of rope rescue. We talk about this one as being one of the logistical challenges because of the height.
As firefighters climbed the 1,000-foot tower, a crowd began to gather, growing as time ticked on.
You can see how busy that the parking lot is, that everybody really is just truly caring and concerned for the safety of these guys.
We were on the way back down, and one of the other climbers that was up at the top with me let me know that his wife and kids and my wife and kids were down at the gas station watching. That was the first I was aware of that, so that's kind of special.
Danny James joined the onlookers for similar reasons, but his reason to stay quickly changed.
When I drove up here, I was just watching a rescue that I wasn't sure about, and then, once I knew it was my cousin, it definitely changed, my feeling of what was going on,
He says he learned about the crash from a news alert, and a prayer chain text revealed his cousin, Rick James, was in the basket.
So what do you think he's thinking while he's up there right now?
I mean, he's scared to death, to be honest with you, but other than that, he's wanting to get down, I'm sure.
And he did get down. Danny says Rick is at least in his 70s and successfully completed the 900-foot descent, along with his passenger, Meg Reynolds. The pair was one of 10 balloons flying to a birthday celebration, the first flight of 2026 for many. They were both taken to the hospital by ambulance as a precaution. Katie Parker, East Texas News Weekend.
To get more news, weather, and sports, come to our website, crossroadstoday.com. Southwest Airlines' decision to give up its open seating system sparked a wave of customer backlash. So Dallas-based Southwest is changing its boarding process. The airline wants to increase the availability of overhead bins. The overhead bin issues come from a mismatch between its newly assigned seating system and the aircraft's original design, which was built for a different approach. Now, some passengers with seats toward the rear often board early, and sometimes stow bags in forward bins to avoid carrying them down the aisle. That causes a problem.
Yeah, but I can't decide. I mean, I didn't like the scramble to go get a chair, but I don't like the idea that you got to pay for this seat because it got a window and the other one. I don't know. It's a thing. Folks, we're looking at 74 degrees right now. The breeze is up fairly strong in the afternoon, about 25 miles an hour. We managed to get up into the 80s again. 84 was our high today. That does not compare to the 72 where we're supposed to be because it's only March. Feels more like, I don't know, June. We'll be talking about the warm, windy weather and then the little glimmer of hope that we have for the coming weekend coming up in a moment. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the weekend. Certainly felt like we were already past March, April, May into June. But that's kind of what we've got really for the next week and a half. We are, of course, have the strong south wind. Now in March, I talk about the March winds because that's when things start warming up here and that allows the strong sea breeze to come in. For us, for you and me, it's just an inconvenience, but for the farmers, you know, the seedlings start coming up out of the ground and then they get, you know, wind whipped by the 30-mile-an-hour winds, kind of a problem. But that's kind of where we have normally for this time of the year. This little stationary front is just not coming into our area. There's going to be another one that forms here, and there's going to be a little bit of change in about 5 to 6 days where things might get interesting. Now, we have been blocked pretty much all winter long by a strong ridge over here in the southwest. Well, that is going to be dropping. And so another one of those low latitude storms coming out of the Pacific will pile up moisture over us and, I'm going to say it, maybe give us a shot at some showers this coming weekend. We'll talk about it in a second. Tomorrow morning, you're going to have to deal with fog again. For those of you that are early morning drivers, you know the drill. Just do be cautious as you head around. That should burn off fairly quickly, but the immediate coastline is where it's going to be thickest. Here are your high temperatures for the next few days. Oh yes, in the mid-80s all the way through. So there's really not a lot of hope of any change. Now, let me see if I can find you that glimmer of hope. We're here at Tuesday. We move on into Wednesday. What is this? Moisture, clouds, rain, North Texas? Okay, we'll watch for that. You'll see how a tap of what we call the tropical tap will start pumping up that moisture, and all of a sudden we have a few light showers by the time we get to Friday. Then Saturday things get interesting as lower pressure arrives from the west coast. The dome is finally canceled, and we finally have enough instability to get something going around here. And you know, my mom would light a candle. You can do that, or you can call the saints, or whatever you want to do to help us get this rain, because we really could use it this coming weekend. A few sprinkles in the morning hours, really kind of a mist down along the coast. Foggy and then cloudy and then partly cloudy, getting up to about 80. In Cuero, you're getting up to about 85, as you see right about there. So you'll get a little bit of afternoon sun, but there's really, you know, not a lot of hope. That's why I'm saying a glimmer of hope is better than no glimmer at all. This is all morning drizzle because of the fog and low clouds. So lots of humidity rolling in to the immediate coastal plain. There you see the fog. But daytime highs are just not going to be climbing down out of the 80s. Saturday, we start getting interesting. There's that 50%. Wow. And Sunday 50% and 30% on Monday. So like I said, I know it's the weekend, but boy, could we use this rainfall. That is your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody, we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that and put Crossroads a Day on your phone. And we'll toss it over to Don.
Thank you, Mac. And Sports Director Max Williams is here with some happy Jaguars.
That's right, Don. After the break, we're going to highlight both honors for both A&M Victoria on the softball and baseball field. I'll have that next in sports. So the Industrial Cobras last week had an emotional win over top-ranked San Antonio Cole in the area round as they won 56-51. Well, now they have to turn their attention to the Aransas Path Panthers, which will play tomorrow night at 8 p.m. at Goliad High School. And earlier today, we caught up with the Industrial head basketball coach Andrew Van Buren about how he feels about how the team is looking for tomorrow's clash with the Panthers.
Yes, sir. We kind of told the boys, hey, it's a long season. We're at the threshold of playing 35-plus games. and your bodies are tired. Like the team there, are you willing to keep fighting when your body's tired? So we just told them, if you're willing to keep going through the grinds, trusting the process, we can keep this thing rolling. But it's just trying to keep them motivated. End of the season, long season, sometimes they get tired and they don't want to keep following the steps and keep staying with the process. So.
I love the message he's bringing there, right? He wants team to, again, he knows team's tired, but you got to keep that energy up, especially in the playoffs, right? Because if you lose, you possibly have a chance your season will be coming to a close. And again, we'll stay tuned for 25 News Now Sports at 10 p.m. where we're going to hear from Industrial senior Keziah Lopez. And now over to Goliad Tigers. They're going to battle the West Oso Bears in the regional semifinals. That game will start at 6:30 p.m. at Sinton High School. And the Tigers have show a sense of resiliency in their past two games. In the first round victory versus Yoakum, 54-51. They backed that up with a victory against Randolph on Friday night, 64-56. And their star players and senior Grant Winham and also young stars in Shane Davis and Logan Youngwood will have to be a factor in that game tomorrow night if they want to get the victory. Now, speaking of, going over to some big-time honors from A&M Victoria, as softball's Madison Carr and baseball's Blaine Zeppelin were named, again, Player of the Week and Pitcher of the Week honorees. And again, we're heading over to, some top honors that go the rest of the way for Madison Carr. Again, got some big honors and some others. Props up to them as they go on the rest of the way. We head over there to the full two-way girls powerlifting meet that's held there at Edinburgh, and Refugio and Yorktown girls. Again, they had some big-time honors there in the powerlifting ranks. First, we're going to start with Yorktown. Mariah Alvarez placed 7th place overall, and then Zoe Rodriguez placed 6th place in regionals. So unfortunately, that would not be enough to head over to the state meet in the upcoming weeks. However, though, for Refugio, they did have one place to go to state in the 242-pound plus weight class, and Lilian Lopez that earned a spot over there to punch her ticket to state. Cheyenne Gutierrez, Iana Brown, Alexander Salazar, and Salem Bass all placed 4th place. So we're not, unfortunately, got to be top 3 if you want to go to state. So congrats to everyone, though, still getting there, and for Lopez going out to the next area. Finally, the Houston Texans, they made a splash today acquiring running back David Montgomery from the Lions as they're sending in return a 2026 4th-round pick in this picks draft that's coming up in a month's time, and offensive lineman Drew Shrugs. And Montgomery looks to kind of back up that backfield for the Texans, along with running backs currently Woody Marks and Nick Chubb. And now this deal won't be official, though, Don, until March 11th into the new league year. And I think for the Texans, this is a big pickup. I've always personally loved David Montgomery. I think he brings a lot of energy for the team, especially when you need that 5-yard run there inside the goal line. He can bring that for you guys. So I think that's going to be huge for the Texans part of the next season, I think, for the future. If their offensive line gets together, Don, that's got to be the key.
Yeah, I hate that the Texans had to trade one of their top offensive linemen to make room for that, but that's the way it goes sometimes. All right, Max, thank you, and we're back in a moment. And we take you to Maine, where there was a competition that combined 2 sports. Winter fun is at full speed in Maine at the Skowhegan State Fairgrounds. Over the weekend, the 3rd and final ski jor competition in the state took place. Ski jor is a winter sport in which a person wearing skis is pulled by a person riding a horse. The name is derived from the Norwegian word skikjoring, meaning ski driving. Competitors are timed as they weave through a 1,000-foot course of gates, rings, and jumps at top speed. From novice to seasoned pros, pairs hit the course chasing prize money and bragging rights. And probably some cough drops because it looks really cold there.
So
they're doing
horsing
jumps too.
and skiing. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you like to bet on the horses, you could bet on the ski jumping at the same time. Mixed up, yeah,
There you go. All right, folks, for tomorrow, we are so far long gone from winter. I'm thinking, wow, when was that video taken? We are looking at temperatures in the mid-80s, warm and windy for the next few days. And of course, I just have to tease you a little bit, a glimmer of hope of a shower or 2 coming up this coming weekend. So let's just all keep our fingers crossed and think good thoughts.
It had to be on the weekend.
Yeah. Could it not been the weekend?
I know.
How many more weekends do you need?
Well, another 47 or so. But by the way, now, with the chance of fog in the morning.
Very high tomorrow, especially between 59 and the coast, heaviest, and some patchy inland areas. So do watch out for the fog tomorrow morning.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you tonight for 25 News Now at 10.